Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Playbook, where I'll give you a breakdown of what's been happening in the world of sport over the last 7 days. You're joined by your host D-Moz. I say it every single week, but it's been a huge week in the world of sports. So the clock's ticking, you know the drill, let's get right into it. In the AFL, the Gold Coast Suns knock off the top of the table Collingwood by 6 points. The Suns were able to keep Collingwood goalless in the first 2 quarters of the match, but Collingwood had a late surge and took the lead in the final quarter. But the Suns were able to secure the final 2 goals of the game to win the match by 6 points. With that win, the Gold Coast Suns are on the cusp of their maiden finals appearance. In other games, the Giants defeated Geelong by 26 points in Lachie Whitfield's 250th game for the Giants. He's the 3rd Giants player to reach this milestone. Richmond and Essendon also played each other and arguably probably put on one of the lowest quality matches of the season, with Richmond scraping home by 9 points to break a 7-game losing streak. Collingwood remain on top of the ladder by 6 points, but from 4th to 8th are all tied on 44 points, and points in difference only separates the top clubs. With only a few rounds to go, this is one to watch in AFL land. In the athletics, the Australian team stars in the Diamond League in Monaco. Jess Hull came 3rd in the women's 1,000 metre event. She got a record time of 2 minutes 30 seconds .96. Peter Bowl came 4th in the men's 800 metres. He eclipsed his own record time in the event by 1 second. Gout Gout won the under-23s 200 metres with a time of 20.10. In triathlon, Australia win the mixed relay at the World Triathlon Championships. For the first time since 2017, Australia has been crowned world champions in the mixed relay in Hamburg, Germany. The Aussies reeled in a 20-second deficit in the final leg of the mixed relay. The team consisted of Sophie Lynn, Emma Jeffcoat, Luke William, and Matt Hauser. Matt was the final leg for the Australian relay, and coming out of the water, he had reduced the deficit from 20 seconds to 7 seconds. And onto the bike, he had caught up to Switzerland, Great Britain, France, and Germany. He drew alongside with France in the final run and was able to secure the victory with 7 seconds in hand. Matt Hauser also came first for the men's in the elite men's sprint triathlon. In cricket, Mitch Starc reaches 400 wickets in his 100th test as Australia win the 3rd test match. The day-night test only lasted 3 days, but Mitch Starc starred over this test match. In the second innings, Australia was able to build on their lead more, but they only managed to score 121 runs, with Cameron Green being the top scorer with 42. So the West Indies had to chase 203 runs to win the test match. But Mitch Starc, he had other ideas. Mitch Starc finished the test match with amazing figures of 6 for 9 after 7 overs. But Scotty Boland also got in on the action. But Scott was able to clean up the tail end of the West Indies, and he also got himself a hat-trick in the process. With that wicket haul, Mitch Starc only becomes the 4th Australian to get 400 test wickets. The West Indies, well, they were all out for 27 runs. That is the 2nd lowest test cricket score ever recorded. In the NRL, the Panthers win in the Battle of the West against Parramatta. The Panthers just recorded their 5th victory in a row, with them scoring 4 second-half tries to secure the win 32-10 over the Eels. Dylan Brown, who would normally play in the number 6, so the 5/8 position, was transitioned to hooker position, which is never where he normally plays. I think he's out of favour with coach Jason Riles, as he's already elected to move to Newcastle for next year's season. In other games, the Broncos, well, they also recorded their 5th victory in a row, defeating the Titans. It wasn't a perfect performance from the Broncos though, as they still recorded 15 errors in the matchup. However, there were moments of brilliance for Broncos fans. The Roosters also recorded a tight victory over the Dragons, 31-24, but the hero of this match was Sam Walker returning for the Roosters after being out since round 26 in 2024. In the NRLW, the Broncos remain in top spot after defeating the Titans. The Broncos ran away with the victory 44-4, and the Broncos led into halftime 28-0 in a dominant display. Tamika Upton also got her first try back in Broncos colours, but she came from the field before the end of the match after suffering a cork. The Bulldogs also defeated the West Tigers by 4 points. That's the Bulldogs' second win in a row in their first season in the competition. They are now in the top 3 with the Broncos and the Roosters. The Sharks got a convincing win over the Raiders by 50 points, and Emma Verren had a spectacular display at fullback. Verren ran riot over the Raiders, and these are just some of the stats from her amazing performance. 4 tries, 17 runs, 199 run meters, 5 line breaks, and 2 try assists. I mean, what else could have Emma done during this game? In tennis, Jannik Sinner wins the Wimbleton Title for the first time in his career. Just over a month since the French Open, where he lost to Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner went down in the first set. However, he was able to turn things around and won the final 3 sets and took out the Wimbledon title. He becomes the first Italian player to win the Wimbledon singles title. And also in tennis, in the women's, Iga Swiatek wins the women's final in 57 minutes. Iggy won the match in straight sets 6-love, 6-love in the most dominant display in a finals matchup in 114 years. In netball, Jo Harten gets the perfect send-off in her farewell game. With the final play of the game, Jo Harten sunk a super shot to secure the Giants their 5th victory of the season, defeating the Melbourne Mavericks 74-59. With the future ownership of the Giants up in the air, the Giants were able to send Jo Harten, one of their franchise players, out on top. Jo has been playing netball for 20 seasons and over 200 national games. In a perfect send-off, well done to Jo Harten. In other games, the West Coast Fever defeated the Vixens by 11 points, and with that defeat, the Vixens lost the right to a home semi-final. But in the big matchup though, the Thunderbirds defeated the Lightning by 4 points. With that victory, the Thunderbirds secured their place in the top 4 and a home semi-final. The Lightning though, they were knocked out of finals contention and their 2025 season is done. And the Swifts beat the Firebirds in extra time for the first time in 2025. The New South Wales Swifts were without their stars, Paige Hadley and Tegan O'Shannessy, through injury. And unfortunately for Swifts fans, Tegan O'Shannessy will be out of the final series with a back injury. In football, Switzerland moved through to the quarterfinals of the Women's Euros of 2025. Switzerland drew with Finland 1-1, and Switzerland only needed a draw to get through to the quarterfinals for the first time in Switzerland's history. Finland scored in the 79th minute, but Switzerland composed themselves and they scored, getting the equaliser in the 92nd minute, so stoppage time, to secure their finals berth. And in golf, Grace Kim becomes the 5th Australian female to win a majors title. Grace Kim took her very first career major title in the Ivana Championship. Grace Kim, who is actually from Sydney, was 4 shots behind going into the final round. From the 18th hole to the second playoff hole, Grace Kim secured an eagle, a birdie, and an eagle again to win her very first career major. Well, I told you there was a lot in this week's World of Sport. So now, let's get right into your burning rubber breakdown. It's time for the burning rubber breakdown. Let's burn it up. In NASCAR, Shane Van Gisbergen runs riot in Sonoma. So that is 2 straight victories for the Flying Kiwi. The 3-time V8 Supercar champion started on pole and he ran riot during this race. He was untouchable and no one looked like beating Shane Van Gisbergen. For Shane, that's his 4th victory in NASCAR, and it's his 3rd on a road course. For those that don't know, a road course is one where they go left and right. They also have another type of racing circuit, which is called an oval, where they'll just go and turn left. In Formula 1, Christian Horner has been sacked from Red Bull Racing. On Wednesday last week, Christian Horner was confirmed that Red Bull Racing had sacked the team principal. Throughout Christian Horner's history, he has overseen 14 different Red Bull drivers, including Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Mark Webber, and many more. Laurent Meeks, who is the Racing Bulls team principal, now steps into the Red Bull Racing job as CEO and team principal. That is your burning rubber breakdown for the week. And now it's time to get into your fast fact for a pub chat. It's time to pull yourself a chair and pour yourself a drink. It's this week's fast fact for a pub chat. Today's fast fact comes from the world of AFL, and in particular, the Gold Coast Suns. I know that's AFL 2 in a row, but I'm sure you can bear with me on this one. With the Gold Coast Suns defeating Collingwood, the Suns have just notched up their 100th victory in the AFL. With that, it took the Gold Coast Suns 321 games to get to 100 victories. The Suns become the 4th slowest team to get to 100 victories. Do you want to know who the slowest is? It's actually Hawthorn. Hawthorn took 470 games to get to 100 wins in the AFL. That is this week's fast facts for a pub chat. And now it's time to get into your playbook planner. Here are some sports to look forward to this weekend. In the NRL, the Sharks go up against the Roosters at 7:40 p.m. on Friday, the 18th of July. You can catch this game on Channel 9, Foxtel, or KO. In the AFL, the Lions go up against the Western Bulldogs. This game is also at 7:40 p.m. on Friday, the 18th of July. You can catch this game on Channel 7, KO, or Foxtel. And in rugby union, it's finally here. In the first test match, the Wallabies go up against the British and Irish Lions team. This is the first time that the British and Irish Lions have set foot in Australia in 12 years. The game starts at 7:45 p.m. on Saturday, the 19th of July. You can catch this game on 9 Now or Stan Sport. In the NRLW, the Broncos go up against the Roosters in the top of the table clash. It's on Sunday, the 20th of July at 1:45 p.m. You can catch the game on Channel 9, KO, or Foxtel. And in netball, it's finals time. In the elimination semi-final, the Thunderbirds will host the Melbourne Vixens on Sunday, the 20th of July at 2 p.m. You can catch the game only on Foxtel, KO, or Binge. We've got back-to-back netball finals games. It's the West Coast Fever taking on the New South Wales Swifts in the major semi-final. It's on Sunday, the 20th of July, starting at 4 p.m, and you can also catch it on Foxtel, KO, or Binge. And in the final game to look forward to, in the AFL, it's the Adelaide Crows taking on the Gold Coast Suns. It's on Sunday, the 20th of July at 4:40 p.m. You can only catch this game on Foxtel and KO. And with that, we have come to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this podcast far and wide so people can get their sports news delivered for their commute. And we will catch you on the next play.